The police laughed at my evidence about a missing driver. Now I wish I'd listened. Okay, Reddit, I seriously need a sanity check here because I'm either losing my mind or the police department in this town is staffed by the Three Stooges. I'm leaning towards the latter. Here's the deal. My delivery driver, Frank, has been missing for a week, just gone. His van was found parked near his apartment, keys on the seat, wallet and phone missing. No signs of a struggle. The police put out a bulletin, talked to his ex-wife, and now it's just crickets. They're treating it like he just decided to walk away from his life. But Frank wouldn't do that. He's 58, knees are shot, complains about everything, but he's been delivering supplies for my little craft shop for 6 years. He's as reliable as sunrise, he wouldn't just disappear, so I did something I probably shouldn't have. We use this ancient, clunky logistics software to track our vans. It's mostly for inventory, but it keeps a GPS history. I couldn't sleep last night, so I logged in and just started looking, and I found something. In the 2 weeks leading up to his disappearance, Frank did something weird. 3 separate times late at night, well after his last delivery, his van went way off route. And each time it stopped at the exact same location, an old, abandoned warehouse down by the industrial riverfront. He wasn't there for a quick stop either. The logs show him parked there for almost an hour each time. The last time was the night before he was reported missing. This morning, I went to the police station feeling like I'd cracked the case. I had printouts, screenshots with timestamps, everything circled in red marker. I handed it all to the detective on the case. He glanced at it, gave me this tired, patronizing smile and said, "Thanks, Mr. Henderson. We'll put this in his file." He didn't ask a single question. He just shuffled my papers to the bottom of a stack on his desk. I tried to explain, to say that this was a pattern, that it was wrong, but he just nodded and said they had it under control. I feel like I'm screaming into a void. This feels important. It's the only lead anyone has, so here's my question for you all. What the hell do I do now? Do I just drop it and trust the professionals who clearly think I'm some crackpot with a printer, or do I go down to that warehouse myself? I'm not talking about breaking in. Just drive by, see what's there. Am I the crazy one here? Edit 1. Wow, okay, I did not expect this to blow up. I posted this before my morning coffee and now my phone won't stop buzzing. Thanks for all the replies, seriously. Even the ones calling me an idiot. The comments are, well, they're a mixed bag. About half of you are in the cops are useless, trust your gut camp. A lot of you shared your own stories about police dropping the ball, which is both validating and terrifying. Someone even sent me a link to a podcast about a cold case that was solved by a Reddit thread just like this. No pressure, right? These are the comments that make me feel like I'm not just being a paranoid busybody. You guys get it. Frank isn't just a case number, he's a person. A guy who always remembered which boxes were fragile and always had a terrible dad joke ready. Then there's the other half. The you watch too much Netflix dude crowd, and you know what? You make some good points. The top comment right now from a user who says they're a former security guard lays it all out. Trespassing is a crime, abandoned buildings are death traps, rusty nails, squatters, collapsing floors, and I'm a soft-handed shop owner who would probably get mugged for his artisanal soap. They're not wrong about that last part. I've been reading these all day, sitting in the back of my shop, just going back and forth. Every time I convince myself to let it go, I picture that detective's smug little smile. He didn't just dismiss my evidence, he dismissed me. He dismissed Frank. That's what really gets under my skin, so I've made a decision. I'm splitting the difference between playing detective and staying in my lane. I'm not going to break any doors down, I'm not even going to get out of my car, but I can't just sit here and do nothing. Tonight, after I close up the shop, I'm going to drive down there. Just a slow pass. I'll park across the street, see if there are any lights, any cars, anything that looks out of place. A reconnaissance mission, I guess. It's a public street, so it's perfectly legal. I'll keep my phone with me, and I promise I won't do anything stupid. I'll post another update when I get back. Wish me luck. I think I might need it. I'm back. My hands are still shaking a little, and the coffee I just made tastes like dirt. That was unsettling. The industrial riverfront is a whole different world at night. During the day, it's just a bunch of sad, forgotten buildings. At night, it feels like the edge of the world. There are no streetlights on that particular block, so the only light came from a distant port crane and my own headlights. It's dead quiet, the kind of quiet that makes you hear things that aren't there. The warehouse is a monster. A huge brick rectangle with most of its windows boarded up, looking like a blind, giant beast sleeping by the river. A chain-link fence, sagging and rusted, surrounds the property. The main gate was chained shut with a lock so old it was probably forged in the fires of Mordor. Just like I expected, it looked completely sealed. No signs of life, no light, nothing. I killed my engine and just sat there for a minute, my car pointed at the front of the building, feeling like a complete fool. What did I expect to find? A neon sign flashing, Frank was here. I was about to start the car and go home to my nice, safe bed when I decided to do one last loop around the block. It's a public road, so why not? I drove slowly down the side street that runs along the length of the warehouse. This side was even darker, shadowed by the building itself. As I made the turn onto the back road that parallels the river, my headlights swung across something. It was a narrow, unpaved service road, more of a dirt track, leading from the street down towards the back of the warehouse, probably to some old loading docks by the water. And on that dirt track, clear as day in my high beams, were tire tracks. Now I know what you're thinking. Oh, and it's a road, roads have tire tracks, but these were different. The whole area was covered in a layer of grime and dust and old, faded tracks from years of neglect. These were clean. The grooves were sharp, cutting through the top layer of dirt down to the darker, damp soil underneath. They looked fresh, way too fresh for a place that's supposedly been abandoned for a decade. My heart started pounding. This was it. This was something. I fumbled for my phone, trying to get a picture. My hands were trembling so much that the first few shots were just a blurry mess of light and shadow. I took a deep breath, braced my arm against the steering wheel, and managed to get one decent, albeit grainy, photo. The tracks led from the street, went down the dirt path, and disappeared into the darkness behind the warehouse in the direction of the river. I didn't stay to investigate further. A sudden, overwhelming feeling of being watched washed over me. I slammed the car into drive and got the hell out of there. I didn't even look in my rearview mirror until I was back on the main road. I know it sounds stupid, but I felt like if I looked back, I'd see someone standing there. So now I'm home. I've been staring at this blurry photo on my phone for the last hour. It's not much, but it's not nothing either. It proves someone has been there recently. Right, it has to. Edit too, you guys are unbelievable. I mean that in the best possible way. I posted that update in the middle of the night, expecting maybe a handful of night owls to see it. I woke up this morning to my inbox flooded and the thread completely derailed by a debate about tire treads. Seriously, I uploaded the photo, apologizing for the quality. I just wanted to show you what I saw, but within an hour the internet CSI team had assembled. People were adjusting the contrast, running it through sharpening filters, and arguing about pixel density. I didn't understand half of it. Then this one user, Tire Guy 79, who, based on his post history, is a manager at a tire shop in Ohio, posted a comment that made my blood run cold. He wrote, and I'm quoting here, I can't be 100 from this potato quality pic, but I'd bet my next paycheck that's a Pirelli Scorpion Zero. See that asymmetrical tread pattern, the wide central rib? That's not a commercial van tire, that's a high-performance tire for a luxury SUV. Think Porsche Cayenne, maybe a high-end Audi or a Range Rover. A Range Rover. The comment hit me like a physical blow, because I know who drives a Range Rover, Frank's ex-wife Alina. Frank used to complain about it all the time. How she got this ridiculously expensive car in the divorce while he was stuck driving a rust bucket van. He called it her trophy on wheels. My mind just started racing, connecting dots I didn't even know existed. Frank and Alina had a nasty divorce a few years back. He always talked about her like she was some kind of black widow, but he was also, I don't know, still obsessed with her. He'd mention her offhandedly, what she was up to, who she was seeing. It was weird. What if this isn't about Frank stumbling into something bad? What if it's about him planning something with her? Or her planning something for him? The police said they talked to her, but maybe she lied. Maybe she was the one meeting him at that warehouse. This is spiraling way beyond a simple missing person case. This feels deliberate, planned, fueled by a mix of caffeine and paranoia. I did something else I probably shouldn't have. I found Alina on social media. Her profile is public. It's all pictures of fancy dinners, charity galas, tropical vacations, a completely different universe from Frank's world. I scrolled back through months of posts, my heart thumping with every flick of my thumb. And then I found it, a photo from 3 weeks ago. She's posing with some friends at an outdoor brunch spot. And right there, parked on the street in the background, partially obscured by a potted plant, is the front grille and headlight of a dark gray Range Rover. I feel like I'm going to be sick. This is too much. I can't go back to the police with this. They already think I'm a nutcase. Detective, I have a new lead. A guy on the internet looked at a blurry photo and I cyberstalked the ex-wife. They'd laugh me out of the building. But I can't just let this go. I have to talk to her. I have to know. I did it, I met her, and the entire world has tilted on its axis. Nothing is what I thought it was. I feel like the biggest idiot on the planet. Here's how it went down. I couldn't just call her and say, hey, were you meeting your missing ex-husband in a creepy abandoned warehouse? So I lied. I called her and said Frank had left some personal items at the shop, a thermos, an old jacket, and that I wanted to make sure she got them. She was hesitant at first, her voice cool and distant, but she eventually agreed to meet me for coffee this afternoon. She walked into the cafe and she was exactly as Frank had described. Elegant, composed, wearing expensive clothes that probably cost more than my monthly rent. She looked like she belonged on the cover of a magazine, not in a story about a missing delivery driver. We did the awkward small talk thing. I gave her the bag with Frank's stuff, then I just decided to go for it. My hands were sweating, my voice was probably shaking. I said, "Look, Alina, I know this is strange, but I've been worried about Frank. I know he's been going to that old warehouse by the river, and I know you have a Range Rover." I expected, I don't know. Shock, denial, anger, maybe she'd throw her coffee in my face and storm out. I got none of that. She just looked at me, not surprised, not angry, just tired. A deep, soul-crushing weariness in her eyes. She put her cup down, folded her hands on the table, and her whole demeanor changed. The polished, wealthy facade just melted away, and I was looking at a woman who was at the end of her rope. "He wasn't supposed to involve anyone else," she said, her voice barely a whisper, and then she told me everything. "Frank isn't missing, he's not hurt. He's in a motel in another state, waiting for what? Waiting for the life insurance payout. Frank wasn't just in debt, he was drowning in it, gambling debts mostly. The kind of debts where people come to break your kneecaps. He was desperate, so he cooked up this insane, stupid plan to fake his own disappearance. After a certain amount of time, he could be declared legally dead, and the insurance policy, with Alina still listed as the beneficiary from before their divorce, would pay out. A huge amount, enough to pay off his debts and start over somewhere new. Those trips to the warehouse, that was him meeting his partner, a shady character who was helping him orchestrate the whole thing. Moving his van, getting him a bus ticket, creating a false trail. And Alina, she wasn't part of the plan, she found out about it by accident. She saw a text on his phone when she met him to discuss some old paperwork. She was horrified. Those trips she made to the warehouse in her Range Rover, the tracks I found. That was her pleading with him, begging him not to go through with it, trying to offer him money, trying to get him help. But he was too far gone, too scared, he wouldn't listen. The final piece of the puzzle, the one that made my stomach clench with embarrassment, was the police. Why did they brush me off? Because they already knew, Alina said, looking me straight in the eye. They've known for weeks. Frank's partner is an undercover officer. It's a sting operation. They're building a case for insurance fraud against him. They were just waiting for him to make the next move. She told me the detective had actually called her after I left the station, warning her that some well-meaning civilian was poking around and might spook Frank if he wasn't careful. My investigation, my brilliant detective work, I wasn't uncovering a conspiracy. I was a bumbling amateur stomping all over a delicate police operation, threatening to blow up the whole thing. The detective wasn't being patronizing. He was trying, in his own way, to gently tell me to back off without revealing the details of an active investigation. Final update, so that's it. That's the big mystery. It wasn't a kidnapping. It wasn't a murder. It was just a sad, pathetic little crime story about a desperate man making a terrible decision. After I left the cafe, I just walked for a while. I felt completely hollowed out. All that adrenaline, that sense of purpose I'd had for the past week, just evaporated and left behind the sticky residue of shame. I was so sure I was on the verge of some dark truth. I pictured myself as the hero, the one who cared enough to find the answers when no one else would. In reality, I was just a nuisance. A complication. About an hour ago, I got a call. It was the detective. His tone was different this time, no more tired patience. It was firm, professional. He said, "Mr. Henderson, I appreciate your civic concern, but I'm going to need you to stop playing detective now. This is an official police matter." "Do you understand?" I mumbled that I did. He didn't elaborate and I didn't ask. He knew I'd talked to Alina. The call was a warning, a final, official butt out. I feel so foolish. And sad for Frank. For all his grumbling, I liked the guy. I can't square the image of the man who saved a half-frozen stray cat he found on his route last winter with a man who would try to commit insurance fraud. I guess you never really know anyone. I'm deleting this account after I post this. Thank you to everyone who offered advice and support. To Tyre Guy 79, you were right, man. You were spot on, and to everyone who warned me to stay out of it, well, you were right too. I should have listened. I thought I was staring into the abyss, but there was no abyss. There was just a messy, stupid, human-sized hole that a man had dug for himself, and I, with my shovel and my screenshots, was just making it bigger. Lesson learned. Some things are better left to the professionals.